Come along with us as we dive into the world of literature, like we do on this channel, and reveal the best authors that Zach and I have discovered since we started this channel at the end of 2020.
Hi there, welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son sit down and talk about books. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim, and it's good to have you with us here today. We are indeed talking about books from all sorts of genres today in the speculative fiction realm. We've got fantasy, we've got science fiction, we've even got horror to be revealed here today. If you enjoy what you see, don't forget to tell us by giving us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet. Welcome to all of you many recent subscribers. It's been great to see the number climbing. We're getting closer and closer to 3,000 subscribers, Zach.
Huge.
Gonna have to plan a big party. I've already had people saying, hey, you're gonna have guests, right? Can we be on? Yeah. All right, so what we have today, since we started this channel during the pandemic, we've gotten into more books. We were already readers. We enjoyed good reading, yeah. But we've been intentional in seeking out other things that people enjoy. We look for recommendations. We listen to all of you on our Discord server, sharing the books you're enjoying. And so we've had the opportunity to try some authors we'd never even heard of before.
I have a disclaimer on this, and for myself, because when we started this, I was pretty young. I mean, I'm still not that old, and I wasn't like a child. I was an adult.
You were able to drink.
Barely. Point being, I'd taken a little bit of a hiatus for most of my reading through some college stuff, and then was just getting back into like adult reading. So as I was considering today's list, I looked at it and went, some of these are names that have like been around or are bigger names. They're not going to be surprises, but they were new to me.
Absolutely.
Just because I didn't know all that much what was out there. This is kind of my discovery and journey into adult literature.
Nice. My list establishes a little bit of booktube cred in that I had read a lot of things, but there were plenty of newer authors that weren't on my radar at all. And by spending time listening to other channels before we even started ours, I started building my TBR, started finding these authors I got to check out, and finally read them as we have been moving through this. So there's not a lot of old ones on mine. There are a lot of newer ones, but somehow I just had never heard of them. Even if their books were written back in the 1990s in some cases, I just hadn't heard of them.
And I will say most of these, for me, are things that were either recommended by listeners/watchers, like I found on our Discord when people were talking about some of their favorite series that I hadn't read, or a fellow creator who we maybe had on the show and mentioned something that I hadn't heard of before, or even occasionally something that you recommended to me, Dad, because sometimes my dad has good advice.
Sometimes. Thanks. I appreciate that. Wow. Well, the fact that you'll say sometimes is better than some dads get from their sons, so I will take it.
Yeah, take what you can get. Take it.
All right, so what we're going to do for you here today is we're going to go back and forth sharing the list of top authors that we've come up with. We're thinking, who are the top 10 authors we've discovered this decade? But we're going to share more than 10. And we'll see which ones for us rise to the top. We also know we're going to have overlap on these lists. So we've read a lot of the same authors. Not exclusively. I mean, right above Zach on the graphic here is Diana Gabaldon. I won't read hers. That's not my interest level. So there are authors that he goes into that I don't, and there are authors I read that he's just not going to bother. Probably like the Don't Fear the Reaper book here. That's Stephen Graham Jones.
Yeah,
he's probably never going to check that out.
Maybe I dabble horror, but it's not my cup of tea usually.
Right. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the books of these authors. We're just taking the chance, the opportunity to sing out the praises of a bunch of authors we've discovered in the last 5 years and really appreciate their books. When we get done, are there authors we missed? That's what the comment box is for. Be sure to let us know. So I have 15 authors. I know
15. You just
before I said
added one?
14, and as we were getting started, I went, wait a second, I forgot that one. So yes, I squeezed one more in. There are 15 authors that really are the best of the authors I've discovered. And so we'll go back and forth. He's got 13, so I'm going to do,
I don't know, maybe I have to add one more and I'll get 14.
maybe you have to. But we're going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to do
Bottom. Okay.
yeah, the bottom, and work our way up. But I think we still will go back and forth, because otherwise I'll probably steal like 2 or 3 from you before
Oh,
you
you're
get
going
a
to steal
chance.
so many either way, so it's fine. We'll just hope that we'll see what happens.
First one on my list, Michael J. Sullivan.
That is my bottom on my list as well.
Hey, look at that. Rhaenyra Revelations, Rhaenyra Chronicles, many other things in that Rhaenyra world. What's the one for you, Zach?
Next up for me is Scott Lynch, author of Gentleman Bastard Sequence, Lies of Locke Lamora being the first book.
That's I haven't read yet, so not on my list. It is on my TBR. Next, John Gwynne, The Faithful and the Fallen. There's more on my TBR of him, but I haven't got to them yet. Have you read any other John Gwynne? I know you read The Faithful and the Fallen.
Not yet. I do plan to move on to some others. He's a little further up on my list.
Okay.
Next on my list is another one that I don't think is on yours. It's Tamsin Muir, the Locked Tomb series. Yep. That's Gideon the Ninth. I very much enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next book.
Yeah, I haven't read that at all yet. And it's interesting. So far, all the ones we've mentioned are fantasy authors.
That last one's fantasy sci-fi.
Okay, so gotcha. My next one is another fantasy author, Tad Williams. You know, just recently finally read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy, and it was amazing. And I've got more books of his. The sequel series in Austin Ard is waiting on my TBR now.
I think that's our first that's a little bit older, but just you hadn't gotten to.
It started in the very late 80s, so definitely.
Next on my list is an author. I've read a couple of things, and I've just continuously enjoyed it. Very quickly became an author where I will just add things that they've written to my TBR. This is V.E. Schwab.
Yeah, I've only read one thing by V.E. Schwab, but it was good. And you're waiting for me to get to the Magic Shades
of Magic series.
Shades of Magic trilogy.
Yeah. There's an extra book too or something.
Oh, all right. So that one's not on my list. That's a good one. My next one, I'm still in fantasy. Mark Lawrence, Grimdark. And I've read a bunch of Mark Lawrence now. There's still more waiting because he's still putting books out. But I've enjoyed every Mark Lawrence bit I've read.
The next one on my list, I've definitely read more than you have, but I don't think either of us had read anything before starting this show together, and that's Brent Weeks. I've enjoyed the Night Angel trilogy, also the Lightbringer series. Good author, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't put Brent Weeks on my list. I thought about him, but that last book no, sorry.
I think you're hurt by the fact that you haven't read the Lightbringer stuff.
Yeah, I've only read the Night Angel trilogy, and then Night Angel Nemesis, and that one just brought him down. But yeah, I've got more weeks to read. For my number 10 on my list, as I'm working up to my number 1, I finally leave fantasy behind. Hugh Howey.
Okay.
The author of Wool, Shift, Dust,
He's
the Silo trilogy.
Up behind you.
Yes, he is, because you just finished it recently. And a great TV adaptation on Apple TV Plus. Which, have you watched any of that?
I have not.
Now that you've read the books, you know.
I may watch it now that I've read the books. I may not, if only because he didn't make my list because I didn't particularly love the book that's behind you. I thought Dust was a letdown.
Okay, interesting. It's more often I hear people irritated with Shift than Dust.
I was irritated at times. It didn't always necessarily add things, but Dust almost felt even like a step back.
Well, I enjoyed that trilogy
after the first book
tremendously.
If he was going to do what he did with it. Next on my list is one that I'm a little shocked you haven't gotten to, and I only have to think maybe it's because you already knew about this author before we started, and that's Joe Abercrombie. I didn't know much of any Grimdark stuff until we started talking with other people and doing things, and this was kind of the first really Grimdark stuff I got into, and I've grown to really like Joe Abercrombie stuff.
So here's a humorous thing. I skipped him. He was on my list. He's way down at number 13.
I'll
I
take
went
it.
straight from John Gwynn at 14 to Tad Williams at 12. What? So you got to say it instead of me. Yes, Joe Abercrombie's on my list, 100%. Going up, though, I still have 9 more that you haven't stolen yet. So,
I have 6.
okay. 9th on my list is Andy Weir, author of The Martian, author of
Project Hail
Project
Mary,
Hail Mary.
Artemis.
Artemis I haven't read yet, but those other 2 I have. Now, this one, oh man, probably shouldn't be on my list. I think I might have read The Martian before we started this.
I think you read it about when the movie came out, which was like 2016, 17.
Yeah, so thanks for playing, Jim. But I've thought a lot more about Andy Weir since we've done our channel. Let's say that's an error 1. Let me go to my next one because you won't have this one on your list either. Number 8 is Martha Wells. Okay, Martha Wells, the author of the Murderbot Diaries. That's science fiction, but she's also got stuff in the fantasy genre too that's on my TBR and I haven't read yet. And this Murderbot Diaries adaptation on Apple TV Plus is hitting it out of the park. It is so
it's very good.
good.
I've been enjoying it.
Yeah.
So is Rach.
Good. I've recommended it to other people who are watching, and they're all enjoying it. So this is when you're doing an adaptation right. And it's great source material to come to the screen like this. I mean, they could have really screwed it up, but they haven't. They've
really the only knock on it is that the episodes are too short. You have to wait a week for 20 to 30 minutes. It's give me more.
Right? So yeah, Martha Wells, big one for me. I've really enjoyed her. What's next for you?
I'm sticking in sci-fi for me, and this one, it's an author, but it's one of those where I feel weird saying it because it's not really one person.
You're gonna steal one of mine. I know it.
This is James S.A. Corey.
Yes, The Expanse. And they've got something new coming out now I haven't touched, but they started something different. Read the whole Expanse, though. That was number 6 on my list, so I wasn't getting to that one.
This is number 6 on my list, too. I'm just higher up than you.
So yeah, James S.A. Corey, Ty Frank, and the other guy.
I'm not going to pull it out of my head.
I agree. That was one of the biggest ones that I've enjoyed since we started the channel. But just before that on my list, I had Pierce Brown with the Red Rising series.
So this is where it hurts that we're doing it from the bottom up, because Pierce Brown was actually my number 1.
Whoa, the best one for you. Wow.
I agonized over ranking these and trying to put things, and I boiled it down to how many books have I read by them, how many books am I waiting on and like actually excited about, and then of the books that I have read, what was my like average star rating. And across the metrics, Pierce Brown kind of gravitated into one of the top 2 or 3 slots, and ultimately I was like, nah, I think I gotta give him number 1.
Cool. Okay. Well, Pierce Brown is fantastic. There are people who really don't
connect with everybody. Some people don't care for Red Rising or don't get into the first book or love the first and don't get into the second. But I think there's a larger contingent of people who just kind of end up liking or loving it.
Now, if we can just get that last book at some point here.
It's
sooner
coming.
rather than later.
It's coming.
Okay.
Maybe not. Certainly not this year. Maybe next year.
Still another year out. Oh my!
Yeah, it's one of those things where we're probably looking at like tail end of next year.
I'll have forgotten the whole series by then.
But it also might be really big, which is nice. I'm down for a really big book.
So what's another one that you do have?
Yes. So my actual number 5 that you have not stolen yet is Matthew Stover.
Good.
Really hadn't heard of him until Drew McCaffrey had been bringing the Axe of Cain towards us, at which point I was reminded and told that he wrote the book with Revenge of the Sith and stuff with that.
Which is why I couldn't include him. I own that.
But I hadn't read that. It was one of those things where like, certainly I've seen it like on a shelf or something, but it was totally not in my brain. And so it was one of those things of afterwards going, oh yeah, he exists.
Yeah. And that Axe of Cain series is fantastic. But I'm glad you listed him since I couldn't. That one I remembered I couldn't do. My number 5 is that recency bias thing. Because it's right down at the center of our screen. Yeah, Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I'm talking about Matt Dinniman. I am having so much fun with his writing, with this series. It's a blast, and it's like nothing else that I've ever read. So that's a big one for me to have discovered since we've been doing this channel. Will it have staying power? I don't know. I don't know, but right now I'm liking it, and it's not just like, oh yeah, lit RPG. It's, not really that. No, almost like not even a real book. No, there's a lot of depth baked into these books, surprisingly. So yeah, good one.
Next on my list is someone I've talked about plenty of times before. It's R.F. Kuang. I loved the Poppy War trilogy, enjoyed Babel. Really looking forward to Catabasis coming out later this year. It's a big one for me in the last few years.
There you go. Yeah, I did not include Kuang on my list because
that's fair.
It's all right, but at the very top,
I think I appreciate some of how she writes, especially I'm a sucker for footnotes, so enjoying Babel's style really works for me.
And of course, I haven't read Babel. I've only read the Poppy War, which just gets dark and dark. It's a depressing trilogy. All right, number 4 for me. You knew this was coming somewhere. Stephen Erickson. Okay, Malazan Book of the Fallen and other books in the Malazan world that have just been an amazing epic fantasy reading experience. The most profound and best author of epic fantasy I've read since I had enjoyed The Wheel of Time. And way more deeper. Wow, good English, Jim. Way deeper. The prose is so much more profound. So yeah, Stephen Erickson, big one.
My number 3, that's how far I'm up now, isn't higher because I've only actually read one book by them. This is James Islington.
Which I haven't touched yet.
Loved The Will of the Many. Super excited for The Strength of the Few to come out. I also look forward to getting into the Lycanius trilogy. I've heard really good things.
Isn't The Strength of the Few out?
No, it comes out November 11th.
Oh.
So you might be seeing like some ARC copies going around kind of thing.
Okay.
But it is not out yet.
Got it.
At time of recording.
So I believe I will also very much appreciate this author from everything I've heard, but just hasn't made it to the top of the TBR yet.
The only reason he's not higher is because I was sitting here going, I'm super excited about all the things I haven't read by him yet, but I've only actually read one book.
My number 3, because that's also where I am now, is Ian C. Esselmont. There'll be Malazan people going, Jim, you have the order wrong. But I don't think so. Now, from my preference, I have enjoyed reading Esselmont's books more. They're all also in the Malazan world. Erickson and Esselmont have a different style. Erickson makes me work harder. Esselmont, I just enjoy a lot more. I appreciate them both immensely, but when I'm ranking them, Ian C. Esselmont's going to come in higher.
So my number 2 and last that I get to share on this list, because you took number 1, really sits here because everything I've read from them, I gave 5 stars, but I don't really have that much I'm looking into adding onto my TBR. A couple of things in a different genre, and that's Fonda Lee. I love the Greenbone Saga. All 3 books got 5 stars from me, but there's just a couple of other books that are like sci-fi books that I have added on and I'm interested in going for. But it's not like I'm anxiously awaiting the next part of a series. It's like, no, I'm really glad I found this person, but I don't know if I'm reading all that much more Fonda Lee.
Got it. Yeah, I've yet to read Fonda Lee, but it's high on the TBR. That whole Greenbone Saga you spoke very highly of, and so do many other people.
It's really good.
Yeah. Fantasy the Godfather in Asia with magic. That pretty accurate right there.
More or less.
All right, I have 2 left. Number 2 is the most recent author I've discovered, Stephen Graham Jones. Don't Fear the Reaper right there is the second book of his in the Indian Lake trilogy. He's a horror author. Now, he has written outside of horror, other fiction, but horror is his jam. That's the majority of what he writes. I was so wowed by the first book I read of his, My Heart is a Chainsaw, that I went and bought and downloaded almost everything he's done in the horror genre. Now, some of it is available for free on Audible right now, so I just downloaded those. Others I've purchased because I'm going to churn through these suckers. I'm over halfway through the second book in the trilogy, and I'm enjoying it even more than the first one. So, yeah, I've got a whole episode out on My Heart is a Chainsaw. If you haven't watched that one yet, people, because you think I don't do horror, ignore that. Go check out that episode because this may be a new favorite author for you too. Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoying Stephen Graham Jones. And this is not just recency bias, I don't believe. The quality of his writing is spectacular. But my number one,
Yeah.
Jim Butcher, The Dresden Files. I had not read any of that before we started our channel. And it
Notably,
was such a blast.
I didn't include him anywhere on my list because he was on my radar. I hadn't read anything by him, but I did know of his existence and what was going on. And like, we'd watched the Dresden Files show when I was young.
Yeah.
So I didn't think he could qualify for me.
Because I had never seriously looked for the books at all, didn't pay any attention to him as an author, I counted him. Because then it was after that we started the channel, and then I saw on Fantology, their podcast, that they were reviewing the Dresden Files. I'm like, oh, I should read those books. And I went and found them and read them so I could listen to their episodes, and then started doing my own. There's a whole bunch of Dresden Files content on our channel, but you got to go back a ways because that was early on in the channel.
Early.
Like in our first year, I started dropping those. First or second year. Anyways, what a great list of authors. And we really didn't overlap all that often.
We had enough overlap, but it was in both directions. And ultimately, we can say, hey, we've read quite a few things. We've read quite a few new things to us. But a lot of these shouldn't really surprise people, especially fans of our content, because we talk about them. These are things that we will continue to promote because we think they're good. And if you haven't checked any of these authors out, or if there are any of these authors you haven't checked out, you probably should.
There's one thing I feel just an eensy bit bad about. I don't think any indie authors, self-pubs, made it on here, other than Michael J. Sullivan started out that way.
I have
enjoyed some self-published authors, but in general, they don't have the amount of content out there yet to really say, wow, they're one of the best that I've discovered.
And that was really the big thing. None of them felt like they quite captured the breadth of content and or gravitas of what I was looking for when making this list. Not that I haven't enjoyed things I've read by them, absolutely have, but a little bit of the ease of access and readily available content does impact how much they have impacted me.
Yes. I do believe I or we did a previous episode highlighting some of our favorite self-published authors. I'm getting old. The gray cells are a little fuzzy. If we didn't do that, we need to do an episode like that. But I think we do have one on self-pubs that we've enjoyed. So take a look, see if it's there. Actually, I'm sure I'm scrolling right now the answer for you because I look it up in the edit. But that's it. That's what we've got for you today. Authors that we've enjoyed that you may just want to check out. Thanks for hanging out with us. Zach, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thanks. It's a good time.
It is. Always is. If you'd like to hang out with us more, look down in the show notes for the ways you can interact with us. An invitation to our Discord servers down there, our social media links, our email, even our Patreon page. Thank you once again to all of you who support us every month on Patreon. It goes a long way to help us keep in this content coming out to you all. I think that's where we'll wrap it for today then. It's been real. It's been fun. It's even maybe been real fun. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.